We need to talk about why investors might not like you, or why you're giving investors the wrong impression to the point where they don't like you and they don't even give you a chance to pitch them your startup. This is going to be a bit of a harsh video, but I've seen this problem happen way too many times, and I think we need to just address this. We need to just go right at this issue about why you might be giving the investors the wrong impression and why investors might not like you, and they might ghost you or not give you the time of day, or even at least give you a little bit of advice if they do pass on your startup. How do you get that first impression working really well? Before we continue, my name is Ed Kang, 7-time funded founder with 2 exits. That's just a fancy way of saying I failed a bunch of times, and I like to say that because I've learned just as much from my failures as my successes, and I use videos like this to your benefit so that you can avoid some of the catastrophic mistakes that I've made. Not to say you're not going to make mistakes, but I'm going to try to make your life a little bit easier by sharing my experiences and the times that I fumbled the ball as a football player ready to score. I fumbled the ball because I've raised over $100 million from my startups, other people's startups, as well as startup funds. And if you are an early stage founder and you're trying to raise that pre-seed or seed, you want to listen to me. I'm also the chief strategy officer for startups.com. I've advised hundreds of startups and thousands of other founders have come through our program. So I've seen a few things. If you're joining us from startups.com, thank you so much for your support. If not, go check it out there and do the YouTube thing, like, comment, subscribe. I love your feedback. Let's jump into the impression that you're going to make when it comes to the investor. I want you to answer this question. If I said to you, you occur to me as blank, what would you say that answer is? What would be in that blank? Do you occur to me as a founder who is thoughtful, who is intense as far as execution, who is a leader, who is responsible, who is open and coachable for feedback, who cares about customers, who can actually build something and solve problems to get to that almighty product fit? Are you a founder that occurs to me as a manager, someone who can scale a company and eventually lead 300 people, eventually hire the best executives and poach them and lure them over to your startup? Are you the type of founder that occurs to me that cares about the details and has empathy for customers and I can build a relationship with? Do you occur to me as a founder, as someone that I can contribute my skills, that you're open-minded? You've got this open mindset, not a fixed mindset, an open growth mindset where we can go off into the sunset together and make a lot of money together. Are you a founder who occurs to me as carefully considering the competition, not throwing them under the bus and not caught in your own cognitive biases thinking, oh yeah, I'm absolutely the best. You've got this arrogance about you. No, you're humble yet confident, and you can occur to me and the market as a formidable, relentless, resourceful founder. Do you occur to me like that as the investor? Or are you the opposite? Are you the type of founder that occurs to me as someone who's insecure, argumentative, combative, ignorant, arrogant? Are you the type of founder that doesn't take feedback very well? Do you occur to me as someone who will not take that really harsh feedback, won't handle bad news very well? Or are you the type of founder that takes everything for granted? Are you the type of founder that occurs to me as someone who doesn't value time? You show up late to meetings. You come and we have a Zoom meeting, and guess what? You just saunter in 10 minutes late and you don't apologize. Or you occur to me as a founder who's sloppy because you don't dot your I's, you don't cross your T's, all the little details are missed. And then you start to make excuses and you don't take responsibility. You occur to me as an irresponsible founder. If you're occurring to me like that now in the first impressions, how motivated am I going to be to listen to you, to spend my valuable time getting to know you and your startup? Because I'm just thinking to myself, well, if I'm not enjoying this interaction now, what is it going to be like in the future? Now, let me just get this out of the way. There are some things that investors think that are completely biased. They've got these implicit biases, and those are not valid. For example, let's call out the elephant in the room and know that there are investors who are sexist. There are investors who don't believe women founders make better startups, because they often do, than men founders. There just happens to be more men who work in engineering and do technical and are developers. But there are many women entrepreneurs that are just as good. I know women entrepreneurs that can outduel, outlast, and outsmart any CEO, any male CEO in the boardroom, and who have an insight and empathy into a problem and can go solve it. Trust me, they're out there. You've seen many stories of women working in startups that make such a difference that their male counterparts are just like, thank God for you. I'm not talking about how you occur with something that you can't change. It's the same thing for minority and underrepresented founders. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about, however, if you're in that situation and you come across like you've got a chip on your shoulder, you come across like you're ready to fight, or you come across as a founder who occurs to the investor as being entitled, well, then that's your problem. That's not their problem, because that's something you can control. So what is this? What is the solution? It's something called executive presence. Executive presence. And it relates to something called the use of self, or self as instrument. Here's how it works. Your executive presence is how you execute your presence and how you occur to everybody around you. Doesn't matter who they are, stakeholders, investors, customers, fellow employees, co-founders. Your presence makes a difference, and how you use yourself makes that difference even more pronounced. Anytime you're interacting with other people, are you asking yourself, is this the best use of myself? Let's say you're arguing for arguing's sake. Let's say you're digging in and being stubborn. Are you asking yourself, is this the best use of myself? Because self as instrument says that you, yourself, your executive presence, how you occur, is the most powerful tool to affect change in the world around you. Any interaction, how you occur, you want to manage that. And I've seen founders fumble right on the goal line. Remember I said that football player, they got the football and they're running in, they got this clear path right over the goal line. They're going to score that touchdown and they fumble it. Right at the point of contact with investors in the beginning or later on when they're doing the presentation, they're doing the pitch. Let me share with you the horror story that can occur. Let's say you built a great startup. It's got traction. You have a fantastic pitch deck because you're watching all my videos. You're hanging out with us at startups.com. Your pitch deck is chef's kiss, and the investors are interested, and you get that first thing going, and they say, okay, we're going to put you in front of the committee, we want you to pitch, and you completely fumble. You occur as someone who's insecure, you're defensive, you don't have your presentation skills, you're fumbling around with your Zoom, you don't know, and you're saying things like, can you see me, can you hear me, and you're just interrupting the investors when they want to ask questions, and you're just droning on, you're monologuing to an audience of one. You may be laughing and say, I would never do that, but I've seen founders do that. I experience it every single week because we practice, and I experience it because I'm on some of those calls with the investors. And how do you know you're not going to fumble the ball? How do you know you are not going to turn into a blubbering, jittery kind of person who's nonsensical because the nerves are getting to you? How do you know whether or not your first impression with people around you will be the first impression with investors that completely turns them off and says, I don't like this person? Or even to the point where they say, I prefer not to be around this person. There's something about this founder that I don't want to explore. I don't think it's going to be worth my time. So how do you fix that? You find the people around you to give you feedback, and you tell them, I want you to give me feedback. I want you to look at my blind spots and see how I occur, and you want to hold up a full-length mirror to me and tell me exactly how I'm occurring. How does my executive presence come off to you? And you ask them, if you knew you couldn't offend me, what would you say? And you take it. You take it right between the eyes, because you'd rather have one right between the eyes and you'd rather fix it right away than go in front of investors and botch it and take 5 in the chest and bleed out to death. That's one of those expressions that I've heard in movies. You want to get it right between the eyes. The feedback, just rip off the Band-Aid. There's another metaphor for you that you might want to use. Rip off the Band-Aid and just take the feedback, because I know founders who've taken that feedback and they have come out on the other side completely transformed. 180-degree transformation. Sure, there are emotions. I know founders that get emotional and they get offended. I was dealing with one of those last week. But that founder turned it around and said, I really thought, after I got past my emotions, I really thought about your feedback, and man, the result was absolutely phenomenal. And guess what? I was so impressed that I began thinking, who can I introduce this founder to? Because now I know that founder can take harsh feedback and go in front of the firing squad of people who give harsher feedback than me and turn things around and make things better. Let me tell you a funny exercise that I would do when executive coaching men or women, especially fathers or mothers. I would say, hey, do you have kids? Yes, I do. Would you want your child to date or marry or work for someone like you? And boy, oh boy, did that ever get everybody flustered. But the ones that took that feedback, they think to themselves, you know what? You're absolutely right. I need to work on that. Now, let's say you find some blind spots. Let's say you find some behaviors in the way that you're occurring to other people. You get a complaint. You always show up late. You always interrupt us. You never take feedback really well. Let's say you get that type of complaint and you get that feedback. What do? Go get executive coaching. Get executive coaching, or get someone to help you and start to learn and analyze and take that feedback and put it in action and try to be conscious of it and work on it step by step. We advisors and the other founders around you will help you all the time, but those signals are there. If people aren't referring customers to you, they're not referring other investors to you, or they're not engaging with you, if someone doesn't want to talk to you beyond just the meeting and they sort of white rock you or gray rock you, where they act sort of boring and they just say the bare minimum, or they act polite, which is white rocking, maybe that's a sign that you are not the type of person that they want to interact with, and you need executive coaching. You need help. Any type of coaching, really. Mentoring is also a really great outlet for you to disclose who you are, how you are struggling, and get feedback and let them give you mentoring so you can adjust your behavior. There's so many things that you can do, because the last thing you want is to flub up the first impression. That means everything. Or flub it up right at the moment of contact when you're ready and you're going to punch it through and you're about to achieve success, but something undermines you. I hope you receive this in the spirit in which it's given. I only want to help you get better as a founder. And sometimes I not only have to call somebody's baby ugly, I have to say, you know what, this is the feedback on your startup, but I have to say you are occurring as someone who is ugly on the inside. And I know that is not you. That is not your intention. So let's go work on it. Check out my other videos on this channel, because I've got a lot that talk about the technical side of pitching and raising those funds, but I also talk about the important stuff in terms of how you impress investors, how you manage yourself, and I want you to just pay attention in the way that we develop parasocial relationships, how I manage my executive presence in these videos, and pay attention to other founders who do it really well and say, what are they doing that I can learn from to make that really great first impression? That's it for this one. As I said, leave a comment. I'd love to know what you think, or you want more videos like this. I will see you in the next video.